couple of more minutes until everyone joins, and I will do a quick introduction and hand this over to Alex for this very informative session. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Welcome, YouTube visitors. We'll be starting our webinar shortly. Wanted to give you back the controls. Okay, we have our participants. They're all trickling in. We'll give everybody maybe another minute to join. Just that we can get a little thumbs up to make sure that you're seeing our screen. This screen where it says Agile Projects, Microsoft, and JIRA Power PPM. If we can get those thumbs up in the chat, that would be great.
See a lot of familiar names. We have one hand up. One hand looks good. Says.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
There's a thumbs up from Wendy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Well, we're 1 minute past the hour. One more minute, and we'll get started. So give everybody an opportunity to participate, because we're really excited about today's content. I want to make sure everybody has enough opportunity to join us. My name is Yuri Fried. I'm the EVP here at TrustedIT Group. We're joined by Alex Rodov. He's our managing partner and Microsoft MVP. And we're really excited to bring this subject to you. And we always talk about this as, sort of the whole project management, and 75% process, 25% technology. And we actually going to demonstrate in today's sessions that this is really all about, is about the process foremost, and us being, sort of platform agnostic, even though we bring the best of the breed of the tools that come from Microsoft, but also being an Atlassian partner, whether it's JIRA or any of the other solutions or SAFe framework, how it all kind of comes together and helps you accomplish what you need to do, both from strategic and tactical level. Now, this session will be recorded. It is live on YouTube. I'll post the link into chat. And as always, I'm also going to include our email for the additional information, because this is certainly not one solution or one size fits all. So we do welcome you. Please, touch base with us, and we can do a one-on-one demo for you and to show you how this solution, I should say solutions, fit into your particular environment, your unique environment. So we're here for you, and again, thank you for taking your time out of your day, and hope you get some value from the session. And without further ado, I'm gonna turn this over to Alex so we can start.
All right, thanks, Yuri. Just a quick check. Can you hear my voice from the great microphone over here? Is it a yes? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, we're getting a lot of yeses. It's all good.
Oh, okay, great. So yeah, very excited to host this webinar today. As you can see, we're coming up. We're kind of stepping up our webinars game. As far as you see the cool backgrounds over here and cool microphones, producing a lot of good content. So I guess this is something that a lot of us would need to be able to conquer these days when we are working remotely. So again, cool topic. We do have a little bit of a not the announcement, but we're excited to be also a Atlassian partner, although we are still in process of figuring out some of the details as far as certification and things like that. But very, very, very much so, getting our tools under the belt, including Microsoft Gold partnership, but also Atlassian JIRA technology, very, very cool technology to be able to bring as part of our solutions to the table. Uh, and we do. I promised to mention to my son, whose microphone I'm using here. So
Mhm.
hey Ellie, this mic is working great. So if anyone give a thumbs up to Ellie for his microphone, I would really appreciate that, because obviously he will watch this on YouTube because he's now in school. Anyway, moving on to the next slides here. So I'd like to quickly get to a quick overview at a glance of Trusted IT Group. Most of you are probably familiar with us already, but we are enablers for the technology. We work with Fortune companies, Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies. We lead by education, by thought leadership. We've spent a lot of time, a lot of years, a lot of decades collectively on how to on best practices and learning how to manage PMOs, how to manage projects, how to manage complex programs, and how to organize and make them most efficiency for those projects. We do manage a lot of billions of dollars in portfolio. Customers come back to us, thousands of hours of videos on the YouTube. So feel free to tap into the ocean of information, and we are here also helping you to navigate through the mountains of information out there available for you guys. So quickly overview of some of the customers we work with. See a lot of cool customers here. We do appreciate every single one of those customers for being with us for so many years, and hope that it will stay. Um, a quick agenda as far as what we're going to be covering. A lot of this I'm going to put an emphasis on the new reality, new variables, new formulas, new everything, and having a technical background. You can say that I like quantify things quite a bit and put into the formulas and frameworks. So we do have a new inputs with the new reality, and obviously this is something impacting our PMO model, right? And we're always looking at especially now we're looking at how these changes are impacting our PMO models that we've built over the years and how they're changing today. Obviously agile and not and not so agile project management, right? I mean, I don't even want to say waterfall or agile. The idea is that all these projects, all these initiatives are using some sort of a hybrid approach. We will talk quickly a little bit about the safe framework, and we will also we will spend most of our time on the future of Power PPM and how we basically enable all these different solutions to live and coexist under the same roof. I actually have a specific slide about that. Anyway, very excited to have you all here. I see people are still trickling into the session here. So this is also recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel after we're done today. Feel free to sit back, relax. You'll be able to replay this exact video at a later time. And at this moment, I would encourage you to think about some of the questions that may come up, and put it in this chat window. So we'll try to address them on this session during the session as we go. For those questions that we will not be able to address today, we will follow up with you on one-on-one basis. Okay. All right. Some of the business challenges, and some of you have seen some of this information already. Not so much related to what's going on with the remote work or anything. I would just say with the remote work is even more stressed, even more pronounced. The way these challenges are to manage our projects, and a lot of times this is related to the communication, right? Because when we manage the project, we need to communicate very efficiently. Now we're not seeing each other in the office. We can't just walk into somebody's office and start a conversation. More and more importantly, we need to have some technical solutions that would allow us to penetrate through those boundaries. So teams work from virtually anywhere, right? It's been around for some time. Today is especially more applicable for this today's reality. Need flexibility to manage without upfront infrastructure costs. Obviously, costs, budgets being cut. People are trying to, organizations are trying to understand what's going to happen next, cutting some budgets, understanding, without understanding that there's no, significant capital investments probably going to happen in the nearest future. So we need to have solutions that are cost efficient. Um, we should be able to quickly change, and we need to be able to also have great visibility, especially larger companies. The more right now with teams all over the place, the visibility becomes a big question, and we're going to address that too. Agile versus waterfall. Again, I'm going to stress this a couple of times today, very very quickly. It's been traditionally waterfall, then it turned to agile, then back to waterfall, then back to agile, then it's a hybrid. You can hear thousands of hours on YouTube about pros and cons of doing agile and waterfall. I think from the mathematical perspective, I kind of have this, and I'm just going to pull this up and quickly go through this. So traditionally, when we going through the changes, one second. And going through the changes throughout your project, throughout the work, you're burning through hours, you're burning through work, and you're not, you may not get certain value. So this graph could be like a time versus work, or this graph could be time versus value. But essentially, having the agile approach to the project gives you an ability to change and pivot, throughout the project. That's kind of very flexible way of doing things, and a lot of projects really, really taking advantage of it. What happens though, on the other side of the fence, where we look at the another type of projects, which is the waterfall project. I'm just gonna quickly go glance through this chart here. So this purple area is basically that you know agile people would call it a waste of time, right? When you're like getting through the plan, and then spending time on planning, and then you're executing, and you're realizing that you are wrong, and then you have to pivot, and you already spent too much time. So in one sense, this is against agile methodology, but in another sense, we still have to plan our budgets. We still have to, stay positive, stay in black in our financials and things like that. So some flavor of the waterfall methodology would still present in our PMO, right, in our portfolios. But as far as the value is, we now start talking about um, the hybrid, which is in between agile and waterfall. And here's why I put this, and I put the name to it. I call it efficiency average. So in a sense, we always run some kind of a hybrid models. So we don't have all the projects that are agile. Mostly agile projects are software development projects. But if you look at any organization, um, a software is just part of the operations, just part of the business, which means that another part of the business is running another types of projects, where the business projects are not necessarily agile projects. So if you look at the portfolio as a whole, you would probably have a mix of projects that are agile, the projects that are waterfall, the projects that are hybrid, and somewhere in between you have this efficiency average where you're trying to apply the right methodology to the right project. So this is, again, this is really, really conceptual, 30,000 foot level, cruising over our challenges and trying to understand how do we strategically approach to execution of our projects and to planning our portfolio, managing our portfolio of projects. So with that in mind, I'd like to kind of bring up some of the more attribution to these two methodologies, and kind of you see this little house that I've built on the PowerPoint, and under one roof, right? We have all this mix, and again, the square footage is debatable or different from organization to organization. But you have different attributes for different types of methodology, meaning that you have to account for the portfolio level attributes to your projects, as well as for those projects that are following the agile methodology. They'll have to follow the other attributes like backlog and Scrum sprints and things like that, and product attributes and things like that. Although you see, we're going to start underline and cross those rooms of between waterfall and agile, and I'm just going to bring all of them here, where we have sort of underlined fundamental, and you can see it's coming to the base of this house, which is a resource management, which is an attribute that is shared across waterfall and agile methodology, time tracking, release management, and things like that. So when we're talking about value, we're talking about uh, the the attributes and the solution that needs to accommodate both worlds. This is where we need to be kind of focusing on in order to be able to manage our portfolios efficiently, in order to be able to answer some critical questions that our leadership teams are asking us. Okay. All right. This is a lot of 30,000 foot level strategy overview. We are going to get to the actual solutions here. So just hang on with me. Was that someone unmuted, or I just keep, I just can keep going, right? Okay. All right. So a few attributes, few things that we should be kind of open to think about. These agile manifest and deliver cycles, sprints, Kanban boards, the Scrum, you name it. And unfortunately or fortunately, there is no sort of a best practice in that scenario. The best practice would narrow down to a specific industry, to a specific circumstance within your organization, because too many variables in play for us to create some sort of a consistent model. So the idea is that you constantly change, you constantly check yourself. And here on the next slide, from the portfolio perspective, you apply the same methodology to a portfolio of projects. So here on the slide, on the previous slide, these are the strategies, the cycles within a single one project, right? But also at the same time, we would like to say that you can apply the same methodology when you run a project. So when you have ideas, when you run sprints, you include your projects into the execution for larger cycles. So instead of having cycles of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, you have quarterly cycles, right? Or you can have 6 month cycles. Again, that's also based on your specific situation. Um, this is a quick glance as into how complex the scaling agile could be, right? I'm sure a lot of you have seen this picture before, and maybe some of you have certifications from SAFe. But again, this is a lot of complexity that, in a sense, in our solutions we're trying to avoid. and create those seamless communications and collaborations between this objects here, sort of naturally. So, but again, there are different frameworks out there available for us to play with and to put it on scale. Most likely, this is applicable for large organization, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, where you have complex delivery cycles. And again, most of the time, this is related to a software technology. So, future of the PPM and something that we come up as a solution as far as working with based on working with Microsoft technology. I don't even say Microsoft project because Microsoft project is an animal on its own, but Microsoft as a whole has a complex variety of solutions addressing project portfolio management. Project is one of them. And then all sorts of agile, Azure DevOps or Jira by Atlassian, other solutions that allowing us to kind of blend, sort of have a mix of different projects together. And um, Microsoft as a platform, there's a Microsoft saying in one of our Microsoft partner calls is basically Microsoft is everyone's customer. Everyone is a customer of Microsoft. You can just take any business out there, any company, and Microsoft would be a customer. Meaning that one way, shape, or form, you either use Windows or Office or Outlook or Office 365, and nowadays it was pushed to the cloud. Microsoft has been very successful in building the platforms, and a lot of these platforms have different buildings on it, and one of which is the portfolio management set of solutions. Is just one of the examples how by Gartner has been recognized all over the place. Atlassian also on the map here, not as extensive as Microsoft, obviously, but it's getting up there. So when it comes to the vision, and I think there's a see here you have your microphone unmuted. Okay, so as far as the vision from Microsoft perspective, and the way we see it, the way it combines in conjunction with the Jira, this thing I'm hearing the echo. We have um, we have solutions, and what we came up with is with our partners here, the Power PPM solution, which is basically wrapping around Microsoft technology, wrapping around the technology on its own, and also connecting and building the bridge or tunnel, or streamlined communication between agile solutions like Jira. So we're gonna really dive into that section. I do want to kind of stress a little bit and talk a little bit about Atlassian and approach from the Jira specifically perspective, where if you're familiar with the concepts and philosophy of Atlassian and Atlassians and Jira, there is a balance between autonomy and visibility. So where autonomy is everyone else, every human being is looking for that autonomy. I wanna be free, right? I'd like to do what I'm good at, and this is most of the time related to a developers community, where developers, you like developers, the developers like to kind of be left alone, and don't be bugged by meetings or management tasks and things like that. On the other hand, we have the visibility, which is management teams and leadership teams are mostly interested in. So there's this balance between autonomy and visibility. Um, well, obviously, Jira and Atlassian has a lot of visibility related capabilities, built into their solutions. But when we build solutions, comprehensive solutions from the project management perspective and PMO perspective, we're looking at the Power Platform, or the Power BI in this case, playing the key role of putting those visibility reports and dashboards out there for those customers and management teams, and then really focusing on the autonomy within the company. So the Power PPM, in a sense, kind of builds the bridge between the leadership teams and development teams, or the team members, and kind of having that simplistic approach as part of the solution. So speaking of the Power PPM, it's a solution built on the Power Platform, again using Office 365, Power Apps solutions, where we can tap into different areas of the project and portfolios and risks and programs and you name it. We have built a lot of controls ourselves, and again, the partners of ours. We have a lot of things coming up. This timesheets is being released as we speak, and there's more artificial intelligence modules are coming up and things like that. So there's a very, very exciting platform for us to leverage the Microsoft platform with hooks and connections to solutions like Atlassian JIRA software and things like that. There's also a critical piece that we introduce as a separate module, which is the resource module, and called a team planner. And in that regard, it could be standalone separately or in conjunction with the Power PPM. If I just go back quickly here, we obviously leverage existing Microsoft technology as far as PPM technology, which is Project Online and such. So very, very good integration and connection using those solutions. So the team planner, as far as resource management solution, extremely new, I would say, interface. Not Microsoft like, if you will, but yet built on Microsoft. And you can see that Microsoft is changing in a way that it's more and more getting modern interfaces into their solution. So the team planner is very, very much in line with that, with the technologies, things like drag and drop, things like automatically looking at the statuses. We will have a little bit more screens to show here, but again, in order to see in-depth demos, I would encourage you guys just to kind of reach out to us, and we'll be happy to do a real-time one-on-one deep dive demo into any of these solutions. All right. I did want to spend some time on this slide, and this is sort of outlining the architecture of all the solutions. See the biggest blue box here called Common Data Model, Common Data Service, which is based and Azure. So this is like a big blue box, which is a data layer, if you will, of the solution. It utilizes the Common Data Service and Azure databases in order to kind of process all the information. It gets a little nerdy when I talk about this, but for us, it's really, really easy to understand. And feel free to ask any questions about any of these. So on top of this, we have the Power Platform with all the bells and whistles. Partially, you see it decomposes it into the Common Data Service, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, and things like that. So, and then on top of this, you start the visualization of this information and get which can be spilled into Azure DevOps, or actually it can be represented or interfaced through the Azure DevOps, Dynamics, Project for the Web, Office 365 applications, additional Office apps, and things like that. The Power PPM block here, which is it's just sitting on top of the CDS, and the Team Planner is sitting on the part of the Azure where we have our data layer supporting that. I guess the biggest the biggest point I really wanted to make here is that other line of business systems that are integratable with the solution. We have already baked in a few of them out of the box. So when you get this, it's already connected. Things like we have the connections to JIRA, connections to Project Online, Project for the Web. We are constantly working with customers, connecting their financial systems. We have Oracle databases and SQL databases being brought over to the solution to seamlessly connect with portfolios and projects and programs. So there's a lot of things that we can out of the box basically set up and drive from there, which in a sense from the agile and waterfall perspective, we can start bringing things from, and again, we wanted to talk about agile a little bit. So when we talk about the project itself could be associated to different objects and in agile solution. And agile solution attributes, we talk about epics, we talk about sprints, we talk about features, versions, releases, right? So those attributes are very, very much integratable with the actual project attributes. And I would light up this term integratable and actually show you the actual the way it's been connected. Very, very easy to connect the two and run reports off of it. The other model where we can connect the portfolio of projects to the portfolios, programs, then projects, and then detailed tasks. So one way of doing this is connecting projects to multiple epics, for example. Another way is to connect programs to the projects. Another way to connect is to connect projects to epics. What I'm showing here is kind of variety of different options, and it getting complex if you choose to do more than one of this. But the idea is that you don't have to have that much of a complexity by connecting the waterfall projects to a bunch of epics and then these epics connected to features and stories. You can get away with one connection of project to the epic, for example, or one project to a feature, and then that would automatically drive all the connections down the road and will drive also the Power BI reports. Um, the the integrated data model where we would connect projects to the project, so project to project relationship, where you have a project where it's connected to a project JIRA project, for instance, if we talk about JIRA, and within that project, within JIRA, you have all the relationships set up from JIRA perspective, and then you can report on that. So here's a quick, just gonna, this is a quick video that been recorded in advance. I'm just gonna start this and talk over this to explain what happens. So on the left, we have the our Power PPM, and this is where we're creating a new business need. So this is like my test business need, and we push the button to say push this to JIRA. So we create the business idea within Power PPM, and then this business idea gets created and gets pushed to JIRA. So on the right side, you see that this business idea is going to be created. So we're going to go to the issues, click on issues, and get this my test issue has been created. So now within JIRA, what we're going to do, we're going to create a feature that is going to be linked to that business idea. And we're going to create this feature called my feature to create. All right. In project Power PPM. So we created the feature. We'll link that feature to that issue that we just created and say, hey, create. So using Power Automate, it kind of synchronizes the two. And now on the Power PPM side, we'll be able to actually see that specific uh, feature being added and already automatically associated to that business idea. So I mean, it's probably a little bit, too many screens, too many clicks for the webinar. But again, given the fact that this is recorded, you'll be able to rewind and see it again. So here's the feature, and we can see that this feature is being added as a related feature to that business idea. All right. So with that in mind, we do have a lot to share as far as the actual demo. We had a couple previous webinars. We've been doing a lot of demos of Power PPM, so yeah, we can also take a look at that. Uh, in that specific case, what I'd like to pass the mic to Yuri and continue our conversation reviewing some of the specifics of Power PPM and how it really connects the waterfall and agile worlds together.
Great. Thank you, Alex. I guess you're still driving the presentation, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, you can start sharing.
Uh, Actually, you can go ahead and share your version. I think it'll be easier that way.
Oh, okay.
Just follow it through.
All right. So I'll just continue where we left off. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so we just want to run through some of the, as Alex mentioned before, some of the modules of the Power BPM platform and how it helps you sort of run your business. And of course, the foremost, where does it all start? Ideas, right? So, Alex, how does it help us when we have ideas?
Right. So there's a number of different solutions out there in the market, specifically for the ideation process. In our solution, we have it already built and baked into the Power PPM. And you can drive these ideas from any system. You can drive it from ServiceNow. You can drive it from your emails. You can drive it from anything you want. The idea is that the ideas are landing on our Power PPM platform, and start. We can start adding some specific attributes and start gauging this idea towards reality, start gauging this idea, scoring this idea towards alignment with our strategy with the company. So basically putting this idea through the funnel of things that we need to do in order for this idea to grow into something that we would call a business case. And here I think then the
Yeah,
next.
that's exactly the question. Well, obviously, some of the ideas are gonna come to fruition, and become business cases. So we want to move them along the food chain.
Right. So I'm sorry, and on the business case side, so those ideas that matured into the business case, now we can, add more attributes, more information about the objective and how does this really help the business? How does this really help anything? And again, how is it aligned with the strategy of the company? We can start running some of the reports, some of the analytics as far as how many ideas we had, how many ideas matured into business cases, and things like that. So the important part, I just want to look back a little bit to ideas, is that the importance of the ideas is to not to miss the good idea, right? We have a lot of good people out there working for the company. I'm sure everybody has a good idea, but a lot of times we just don't hear those ideas because, especially when we're remote, mostly it's important to have open door to these ideas for them to start coming in and have people vote and click and use Teams chats in rooms to be able to vote, and then sorry, and then mature them to the business case. So the business case is basically a next step, of that funnel. And again, in your specific organization, like if you're a big company with thousands or tens of thousands or tens of thousands or 100,000 employees, right? You may have all this rigor in that process, ideas, business case, approvals, and things like that. The smaller the company you work with, you work at, you work for, the more simple, the simpler these steps should be, or in some cases, ideas turn into projects by passing the business case stage. So it depends on what the size of the company and what kind of rigor in that process is required. You may want to downsize the number of steps to go through. Um, to go from the idea to the project, but business case is one of them, kind of classic, when we need to kind of ask for money, ask for budgets, and kind of have this matured into projects.
Thank you. Yeah, I think this one is, I mean, if I'm, especially for the C-suite, if I'm a CFO, I mean, this is what it's all about. I want to be able to, see the financials. And then I know we talked about possibly, plugging in, Oracle and other tools that can we automatically pull in this data?
Yes, we can automatically pull the information from various systems. Again, these days technology has become way simpler than it was, even 5 years ago, and you can see it everywhere. Not just here on the Power PPM or Microsoft or JIRA side. You can see the technology evolved very, very quickly. And especially now, there's a lot of demand for tech companies to provide more efficient technology in the hands of the users, because there are much more users started paying attention or started using technology than before the pandemic. It kind of forced people to use technology more. So we are all in the same boat as far as making this simple, make it work, and not creating complex integrations for achieving simple objectives. It became very, very simple. At least, we have the tools and solutions to make it very simple for you guys to connect your financials and other systems to your PPM solutions.
So I guess the other one, next one is risk management. This is the fundamentals, and being able to manage projects and actually visualize those risks, I think, are really important. So it looks like we do have a lot of visuals on the platform to be able to give us a really quick sort of a huddle view of this.
Right. These days when you had, PPM solution installed, and then you have like 6 months, worth of team of consultants, so cranking and configuring the solution, and, $500,000 later, then you kind of get your solution in place. These days are over, right? The solutions are not, I don't want to say plug and play, but things like this risk matrix, it took time and effort and money for consultants to put together for any PPM solution. Well, guess what? It's right there now. It's available. The day one you install it, it's available for you to run your risk management practice right away. Very easy to configure, massage some fields, all best practices already in place. So you don't really need to do much as far as configuring this. You can start using and taking advantage of this risk management framework. You can add risk, you can rank risks, high, medium, low. You can, have exposure of these risks, all the best practices out there. Start using it right away. Also, want to keep in mind, remember we talked about projects, programs, portfolios. You can have risk at the project level. You can have risks at the program level. You can have risks at the portfolio level. So all this attribution, all this embedded in hierarchy of the risks and the pyramid of this risk escalation model already baked in, right? You don't need to create, oh, how do we escalate project risks at the program level, or how do we escalate program risk at the portfolio level, things like that. Very, very flexible in the way you can report on it, and very, very easy to manage risks.
Yes, speaking of best practices, kind of that sort of leads us to the KPIs, key performance indicators. So I would guess that both they're, kind of taken from the best practices in the industry, and they could, correct me if I'm wrong, they could probably be modified to suit each organization's needs, right?
Right. There's always, we have customers who are, oh, give us the best practices about KPI. So like, what other companies are using? Well, guess what? There's this very simple answer to that question. There are like 4 different KPIs, 5 different KPIs. That's it. That any project management office should be using. And then you can go down to like 1, 2, or 3, whatever you can manage and keep accurate, that which you should be using. And we're talking about the very simple ones like schedule indicator, like cost indicator. Just take the basic, the classic triangle constraint of cost, budget, schedule, right? You can add things like quality. You can add things like, additional parameters. But basically, the top 5 is something that you would need. You would also need some kind of an average, some kind of overall KPI, and we provide 2 ways to go about it. Number one way is to subjective setting by the actual project manager. Who knows better than the project manager the status of any of these KPIs? Project manager can say whether this is red, yellow, green, basically, right? As far as schedule, are we on time? Yes. We're not so much on time. You can put the yellow. We're way delayed. We're gonna be delayed. You can put it in the red. Basically, the subjective setting of the project manager is option number 1. You may say, well, some of the other KPIs could be calculated automatically. We do obviously can calculate, and we can put humongous formulas behind it. Trust me. But what it does create complexity. Complexity equals poor adoption. Complexity means people will not understand quickly enough what the indicator means, and they would have also less controls over that indication. So there's a balance between visibility. Remember, visibility and autonomy, right? So the autonomy is basically when the project manager is put in the right indication of the project autonomously, right? A lot of times subjectively, as to our project is in red, or our project is in yellow, or our project is in green. But yet at the same time, from the visibility perspective, we do want to understand some calculations. If we spent twice as much money on the project as we're supposed to by the time, then we should kind of raise a red flag or yellow flag on the financial indicator. But I do want to stress one more thing, which is very, very important here. Every single KPI has a narration, has this text field, multi-line text field that you would keep up to date based on your current situation. Let's just say that you run your portfolio reports or status reports by the end of the week on Friday, which means that on Thursday sometime you would go update your KPIs, make sure that, look, if you're red, then you have a good narrative as far as why this is red and what is the plan to address the red. Because when this shows up on the desk, on the display of a leadership team, they're gonna look at this red. They're gonna ask the question, right? The first question: why is it red? And you want to have that answer to that. Why is it red or why is it yellow? You want to have that answer typed in right here. So that we have a special place for every single indicator. to have that, and the ability to have this indicator to show up in the right Power BI report or any other report if you're choosing. All right. Obviously, all of these are showing up as the traffic lights on that portfolio view as well.
Great. So when you requesting, I guess, changes, tracking issues, again, that's there's no need to go outside of the tool. You can sort of create the requests right within the tool and queue it up for proper approvals. Am I correct?
It's a real time. You're talking about the changes right now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So changes and issues. Basically at this point, simple libraries of items, and in this case, changes may have some relationship to a project, or maybe the status of the project, or even the indicator. We used to have one of the customer wanted to have, like, as soon as you have X amount of changes for the project, you automatically bring some kind of change management KPI into yellow and red. Like the more changes you have to the project, the more likely you have issues with the project. So and that's why the changes and issues are sort of in the same bucket here. Basically, for us, any project has a change, any project has issues. We need to manage them. Quick communication, collaboration on that topic is crucial for the success of the project. So that's why we have all kinds of ways to simple ways to collect them, manage them, track them, and report on them.
Great, great. Um, yeah, I think this one, I think I find is really cool the way that it automatically spawns out a PowerPoint report that can be easily distributed.
Yeah, this is one of the cool features of. So we taken advantage of the Power BI report and automatically produce the status report and distribute the status report to the specific list of people, list of stakeholders on the project. There's a cool feature that is actually not part of this screenshots here. With the stakeholders, we have like a matrix of the stakeholders, where you can see the influencers versus team members versus just the stakeholders that are there for the product management purposes or things like that. So cool ways to automate the status reporting. I bet it's the picture worth 1,000 words. I would rather not tell any more, other than if you want to see this, just give us a heads up. We'll schedule a one-on-one. I do want to talk about the portfolios and programs. Extremely important and very high demand of all the project online customers was, how do we build program level timelines? How do we build portfolio level timelines? So right now, it's out of the box available. Pooh, hallelujah. All right. So if you have a program consists of 10, 20 projects, you can have one program timeline with details underneath, all detailed out on the same view, dynamically available, and that's just out of the box available. You didn't have that. We didn't have that in Project Online. We had to be creative using master schedules and things like that, which we always recommended not to use and things like that. So anyway, it's a cool feature. I do recommend to take a look at that. We would probably make a separate webinar about the portfolios and timelines, which is a huge topic. I think it's a great breakthrough for the PPM solution.
Yeah, and this one always comes up. I know a lot of our clients, as we do our monthly health checks with them, we always look at the, demand versus capacity. And I think that that's another, very, very, good tool. Well, actually, something that you can really use to make a difference.
Right. This is a part of the solution, which is the resource planner. And resource planner is very autonomous solution and could be used in conjunction with some other PPM solution, or can be used on its own. right? It can be used just for the resource management purposes. If you're the resource manager, you maybe want to be interested in that. So also natively baked in as an app into the Teams solution. It could be also just standalone web solution where we would just drag and drop and assign people to projects, to a specific timeline, create resource demands, approve resources, and have this resource demand versus capacity information right in front of us. Basically, will tell us how busy our people are and how much of the empty or how much of the white space folks have on their plates, right? And that's very important for any organization, any side of the business where you have projects and people are saying that they're busy doing projects. You need to kind of put this into comparison with reality and say, okay, what are we really spending time on? And which kind of spills over to the next question, where we can actually not just say we're allocating these people to this project, which is making their plates full. How do we actually then track that? So this is this is your forecast versus actuals comes into play. Where you said we're going to spend X amount of time on these projects, and then you look at the timesheets and actually look at how much you spent on these projects and compare your original forecast to those projects to actuals. So again,
sorry to interrupt. Just want to do a time check. We have 5 minutes, and we do have a couple of questions in the chat. So I don't know if you wanted to, run through these or address the questions.
Yeah, well, thanks for the time check. You're looking forward to those questions. There are quite a bit of a what if simulation. There's been some demand within PPM customers to build some of that. So we're gonna again well into that specifically. You saw on some of these projects there's governance stages where we can create all sorts of branches and workflows as to which steps each project or idea or program or portfolio should go through, right? And additional capabilities, again, utilizing Microsoft Power Platform, we can leverage all sorts of artificial intelligence or learning that we can machine learning that we can utilize using Microsoft Platform. Anyway, I think we're at the time where just again, throwing out this out there. By the way, obviously, it runs natively well within your mobile browser, and could be also installed as an app on your phone, Android and Apple. All right. So I guess this is where we're gonna. Yeah, I think you're on mute.
This question comes to us from one of our attendees. In PPM, is there a way to customize the status report?
Yes, absolutely, yes. You can. Basically, a status report is the Power BI based report, which in your specific circumstances we can completely modify and create additional data sources and build a great status report, and then use our processing to run the report and then automatically generate the report on a weekly basis or whatever the cadence is.
And the other question is there integration between KPI and ServiceNow?
So the two options I mentioned for the KPI, which is one of these is a purely manual option to kind of set yellow, green, all good, at risk, things like that. We can also sub this option number two, which is the calculated version, calculated based on the information that we already have within the system. So the way it works, when we have information within the system already sourced from Oracle, for example, or sourced from JIRA, for example, we can use that information in our calculations and then calculate the KPIs. And the most simplistic scenario would be from the financial perspective. Let's just say we have a financial KPI, and we have budget, and we have actuals, and we have forecast. So we can compare. And if let's just say these numbers, the actual numbers are coming from the financial system, SAP, Oracle, or anything like that, then we can take that number from the external system, calculate our KPI based on our budgets that we put into the PPM solution, and then figure out whether we're, overspending, underspending, or on par with spending for that project. Make sense?
Okay, great. I think well, that's it. Those are all the questions, and we're right on time. And of course, if you have any more, you can always email us. I left our email at info@trusteditgroup.com. You can email Alex directly. You can also email me directly. I'll also leave my email in the chat.
Well, yeah. Again, thanks, folks, for joining us today. I'm very excited to work with this new platform. This is a lot of new things for all those long waiting, expecting features from Microsoft and from Power Platform. And finally, we have more flexibility. We have real-time tool that allows us to kind of work with the solution real time, and we're very friendly with JIRA. Again, we're coming JIRA Atlassian partner, Microsoft partner. So in these times, we are building solution that is right for you, for your people, for your organization. And we're happy to assist all of you, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching those YouTubers. Subscribe if you watch us. If you like this video, thank you very much. We appreciate you. We'll see you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, and one quick answer to the last question: is the PowerPoint available? PowerPoint, unfortunately, not. But this session is fully recorded on YouTube, and the link is in the chat. Thanks again. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you.